Welcome to Shenkman Education. My name is Marty Shenkman. We're going to talk about a really critical topic, what I think is the biggest estate planning mistake. Maybe the biggest mistake is doing nothing, but the biggest mistake that adversely affects most people's estate plan is a terrible misconception. And I think that misconception is pushed by a lot of the online websites. No disrespect intended, they serve a great purpose. And even some advisors who take a very simplistic view that estate planning is about getting a document. When you think estate planning is about getting a document, when you sign a will, a revocable trust, and typically, and there's other video clips on this, a power of attorney, healthcare proxy, etc., you think you're done, you've done everything. It's not the case. If you have a young family and you don't have proper life insurance coverage, and God forbid you die, you could have the best will in the world, there's not going to be financial resources to protect your family. You haven't done enough. That just is a simple example to really demonstrate this really vital point to your family and your security. Just getting a document is not enough. Another example, as you get on in years, you may sign a durable power of attorney for financial matters. That's a legal document that provides a person called an agent, who you designate, the right to take care of legal, tax, and financial matters for you. That's great. But if you have the mess, the financial mess that so many people have, where you have 10 different accounts at 10 different institutions scattered all over, no records, maybe you haven't even automated or computerized your stuff. If you have a financial mess, how's your agent going to know what to do? Contrast that with you get the same financial power of attorney in place, but you do a couple other things. You consolidate all your assets at one or two institutions. The rule of thumb I suggest that people consider is if you don't have a legal or tax reason to have a separate account, don't have it. Yes, you need a separate account for an IRA. You can't have your personal checking account and IRA as one. They're separate. They legally have to be separate. For tax reasons, they have to be separate. But don't end up with a proliferation of stuff because it makes it impossible for an agent to deal with. Next, you got to talk to the person you're naming as your agent, especially if you're on in years. If the person you name doesn't know they're named, how are they going to know to step in? Third, the person you know has to know how to find stuff. If you have an accountant that does your tax return, a wealth advisor, you can coordinate a team and get almost the same effect, the same benefits that a very wealthy family would have with a family office by having a coordinated team to help your agent. If you have lesser means, get everything on a computer program like Quicken or something like that. Talk to your agent, leave records. It sounds trite, but one of the things that I've done, and everything of mine is electronic with one exception. I have a binder that has a big red emergency written on the outer spine. It's one of the only packages of paper I have. And in it, I have checklists and lists of things for tax returns, financial assets, things, passwords, things that kids would need in an emergency to step in and help. That's another, this last discussion was another example of why just doing a document alone isn't enough. Doing a financial power of attorney, critical. Everyone 18 and over should have one. That being said, if you don't take these other steps, you're really not solving the problem. When you have a family business, when you have an estate, when you have kids or other heirs with different needs, who gets what and how? It's not just enough to put it in a will or a revocable trust. Yes, a revocable trust will avoid probate, but if everyone's going to fight about everything, you're going to have a legal nightmare with incredible costs as litigation rages on. You need to think through what you're doing, how the people are affected, and how you deal with it. Here's the bottom line. It's a real simple magic bullet to think you signed a document, you're good to go. You're probably not. You need to use common sense, think through questions. The key, what if? What if this happens? What if that happens? Go beyond just the documents. And if you really want to get a better result, before you do the documents, plan. Look at the big picture. Look at the implications of what you're doing. Then get your document, and then follow up like we just discussed. To summarize, one of the biggest mistakes in estate planning many people make is falling for or believing the simplistic magic bullet that getting a document solves all your problems. It could be vitally important. I'm not minimizing that at all, but it's not enough. Thank you for joining me, and please remember that all the clips on Shenkman Education are for educational purposes only. Don't take any legal or other action without professional advice.